As an emerging Indigenous scholar from the Dene and Yimiko nations, I believe identity is grounded in language. In Wretched of the Earth, Algerian scholar, the late Algerian scholar Frantz Fanon wrote, "Decolonization, which sets out to change the order of the world, is obviously a program of complete disorder. But it cannot come as a result of magical practices, nor of a natural shock, nor of a friendly understanding. Decolonization, as we know, is a historical process. In this process, that is to say that it cannot be understood, it cannot become intelligible nor clear to itself except in the exact measure that we can discern the movements which give it historical form and context." According to Tucson Biodiversity Institute, about 50% of all humans speak and think in one of 10 globally dominant languages. That means that 0.2% of languages hold sway over 50% of human species and likely upwards of 85% of the globe's land surface. Essentially, these are the language cultures that are primarily responsible for the global extinction crisis and the eradication, assimilation, marginalization of indigenous cultures. 1% of the human race, meanwhile, speak 50 to 60% of all human languages. This 1% and all its wealth of knowledge is being driven to extinction at an unprecedented rate. Watching indigenous languages disappear is like watching someone set fire to half of the world's libraries. The research that I am engaged in is not only a radical act of love and reclamation, but a case study written from an indigenous narrative that examines how decolonization is not only a theory or a metaphor, but a practice, especially when it comes to indigenous languages. See, the reality is, I've learned that my own language is on the brink of extinction. This is a grim reminder for me of how settler colonialism has negatively affected indigenous nations for the last 500 years here in the Western, as you can see here, this decolonization here. But my research made me question, how many other nations is this happening to if there are only 566 federally recognized tribes here in the US? That doesn't count the nations that are in Canada or in South America. But one of the things that I really found important to convey in research is the indigenous narrative. So it is my hope and vision that the research I am conducting will make a significant contribution to the field of education research, with examples of how nations are resolving the issue of language extinction using methodologies that are indigenous and grounded in language. More than that, it is my hope that my home community and others throughout the Indian country that are going through language extinction, it would be able to share in what it is that they're working through as far as extinction and language revitalizations are concerned. Thank you.